Ever since the advent of gangsta rap in the late 80s, there has been a certain subset of rappers who enjoy, shall we say, infusing their art with elements of criminality. That is to say, that in the last several decades, a lot of rap music has gotten progressively more thugged out, though it has long been mostly understood that, while many of these artists do have criminal pasts, their criming days are now behind them, and they are presently respectable members of the hip hop community. Many of these artists go so far as to explicitly condemn the criminal lifestyle. The godfather of gangsta rap, superstar Ice-T, comes to mind. But in recent years, a disturbing and diametrically opposing trend has emerged. An unfortunate number of rappers now seem to be walking the talk, continuing to engage in the criminal activity they rap about, even as their musical fortunes rise. Many have even had meteoric rises cut short by lengthy prison sentences, and some of these have committed crimes serious enough that they are unlikely to ever get out of prison. It turns out that sales, accolades, hit songs, and millions of fans do not provide insulation from prosecution, a lesson learned the hard way by these artists, all of whom are sitting in the big house right now. Taymor McIntyre, also known as Tay-K, had an enviable start to his musical career. By 15, his self-produced tunes were gaining popularity on the internet. He quickly became well known for his solo work and as a member of the Daytona Boys Collective. By 17, he had a single, The Race, flying up the Billboard chart, eventually peaking at number 44. But that single was written and recorded while he was actively on the run from the law, and for a crime which would eventually send him to prison for a very long time. At 16, McIntyre took part in a home invasion robbery during which 21-year-old Ethan Walker was shot and killed. While on home arrest awaiting trial in 2017, he cut off his ankle bracelet and skipped town. The viral video for The Race opens with a shot of McIntyre posing next to a wanted poster emblazoned with his mug. U.S. Marshals brought him in later that year, and while he claims not to have been the one who pulled the trigger, it may be that his cavalier attitude toward his legal predicament did not sit well with his jury. In 2019, he was sentenced to a total of 55 years in prison for murder. As of this writing, he is facing a second murder charge for a deadly robbery he allegedly committed while on the run. The summer of 2020 was, as everyone surely remembers, a weird time. In the midst of all the quarantining, grocery wiping, and Googling Joe Exotic's music career, though, rap fans were treated to an extra weird news item. In July of that year, it was reported that Daystar Tory Lanez Peterson, a Grammy-nominated recording artist, had been arrested following an incident in which Megan Thee Stallion Pete, a Grammy-winning recording artist, had been shot in the foot. As more details came to light, it turned out that it was exactly what it sounded like. As the two were leaving a party, they got into an argument in a car, and when Megan attempted to exit the vehicle, Lanez began busting off shots at her feet. Wounding her, Lanez was tried on a litany of charges, including assault with a firearm, and despite allegedly waging a social media campaign to turn fans against Megan during the trial, he eventually found his contrition, calling Megan someone I still care for dearly to this day. Megan did not appear at the trial, but in a statement to the court, she didn't appear to share the sentiment, saying that her former buddy must be forced to face the full consequences of his heinous actions and face justice. In August 2023, Lanez was slapped with a 10-year sentence for the shooting Willie Fetty-Wap. Maxwell began his rise to fame with New Jersey group Remy Boys before striking gold with his solo career. In 2015 alone, he notched no fewer than 3 top 10 singles, scoring a pair of Grammy nominations for the first of them, the number 2 smash, Trap Queen. On that track and many others, Maxwell had a tendency to wax poetic about the illegal drug trade, and it later came to light that such subject matter was not merely referring to a checkered past. In 2021, Maxwell was arrested and charged with drug trafficking, specifically with conspiracy to distribute more than 500 grams of cocaine. After making bail, he compounded his problems by making a FaceTime call to an unnamed party whom he threatened to kill, waving around a gun while doing so, a call that was recorded and helpfully played for the court, resulting in a revocation of Maxwell's bail in late 2022. During his trial, Maxwell explained that he was only trying to provide for his relatives during the pandemic, which had hurt his opportunities for live bookings. "I only ever wanted to help my family. I never asked myself if it was all the way right," he said via the New York Times. This explanation apparently did not ring true with the judge, and in May 2023, the rapper was sentenced to 6 years. The music career of Charlie Max B. Wingate almost ended before it began, for the same reason that his success proved to be fleeting: prison. Between 1997 and 2005, Wingate was in the big house for robbery. Upon his release, he was introduced to rapper Jim Jones by childhood buddy Cameron Giles, and quickly fell in with the former's Bird Gang collective. A couple of hot mixtapes followed, but Wingate simply could not stay out of legal hot water for long. In 2006, Wingate and associate Kelvin Leerdam were involved in a hotel room robbery in which Leerdam shot and killed a victim. Both men were charged with felony murder, among other offenses. Wingate continued to pump out new music while the case wound its way through the legal system. But in 2009, the hammer came down, and the rapper was slapped with an eye-watering 75-year prison term. However, freedom may yet be in the cards for Wingate, whose case was revisited in 2016. That year, a judge pointed to a potential conflict of interest involving the attorneys who defended Wingate, vacated his sentence, and allowed him to plead to the much lesser charge of aggravated manslaughter. Wingate was handed a fresh sentence of 20 years, and with his time already served, he could conceivably be out of prison in 2025. In 2018, music magazine Fader ran a cover piece on Vallejo, California, rap group SOBXRBE, whose track Paramedic had made a splash with its appearance on the soundtrack for Black Panther, one of the very best MCU movies. The unit's breakout performer, George Lul G. Harris, had recently signed a solo contract with the legendary Def Jam Recordings, but his career efforts were being slightly hampered by the fact that he was at the time on probation for an armed robbery he committed at the age of 17. They've been making it difficult. Like, it'll be a big opportunity, and they'll just tell me, no, he told the magazine. It's like, basically, y'all want me to lose my career, so I'm forced to do stuff that'll have me stuck in this system. His words turned out to be prophetic. In 2019, Harris shot and killed Rashid Flowers, a friend of the group who often posted videos of himself hanging out backstage at their shows. It didn't take long for authorities to zero in on Harris, who was arrested not 2 months after the crime. He initially faced 25 years to life for the crime, but copped a plea deal in 2023 that will still see him spend 21 years in prison. There's no question that Colin K.R. Walker was a multi-talented individual. He first made noise as part of the Marvel Inc. dance crew in the late aughts, before moving on to dropping mixtapes in the next decade, and he even made a bit of a splash as an actor, appearing in the 2017 Daniel Craig Halle Berry feature Kings, and the 2018 remake of the blaxploitation classic Superfly. But in 2018, his career came to a screeching halt when he was arrested for a shocking series of crimes. Prosecutors alleged that Walker had used his fame to lure unsuspecting young women into his orbit, approaching them on social media with promises of modeling work. He would then sexually assault them. Walker's initial arrest came after 4 women lodged complaints against him, but while out on bail, another 6 victims joined them, resulting in another arrest, a trial, and a very heavy book thrown at the young man by the judge. In 2022, he was sentenced to a staggering 50 years to life in prison, and if he ever does manage to get out, he'll have to register as a sex offender for the rest of his life.